Nope.
Nope. All right, let me
And
know.
here we are. We are live. It is Tuesday evening, 7:21. And here we are with Joe Kelly. Myself is Tim Judge. I am here under the avatar. But Joe has, and of course, I think I'm blocking myself because I did not put a tie on for this event.
That could be it. I figured if I'm going to run for state senator, I'm going to dress the role. So I'm very excited about us getting back on a podcast, Tim, you and I. We have a really exciting group of guests this evening. We've got State Representative Tom O'Day has promised to visit. We have First Selectman Fred Camillo will be popping in. He didn't give a time. He just said he'll pop in. We have Maria Weingarten, who will be who's the 169 strong voice of Connecticut about local zoning control. So we're very excited about hearing from her. We also have Cole Breen and Joe Pellegrino. Joe Pellegrino I work with on the BET, and we've developed a nice friendship. We work very well together. So there's a good crew of people coming in. Hopefully they'll be able to get in. We have our little hiccups with our first program, but I'm sure the programs in the future will be fine. So our guests will be arriving shortly. But Tim, the fun thing about this running for state senator is that we get out to meet a lot of people. We're knocking on doors. We're going to every event there is in town. We're going up to New Canaan, which is within the district. I've kind of grew very fond of New Canaan. I didn't know much about New Canaan prior to this.
Yeah.
I visited a little bit. I saw some people there, but I didn't know a heck of a lot about it. But I'm certainly growing very fond of it. It's a great town. There are wonderful people up there. It's like you're in a small town in one of these Connecticut or the Fairfield County suburban areas, but it's like sort of separate from its surrounding area. It's in its own self, its own entity, and it really makes it nice. They're all proud of their community. So I really enjoy meeting the people up there. And also within the district is North Stamford. And the only way, we all know Stamford from downtown Stamford, where there's all those restaurants and all the activity and the business center. And but you don't know exactly who you're running into when you're in downtown Stamford, because my constituents are in North Stamford. It's the residential side of Stamford. And I've been knocking on doors there, meeting great people. And I'm seeing parts of places that are not very far from me that I'm really finding kind of cool. So I'm very excited about it, and getting out to meet people outside of Greenwich, which of course our Greenwich friends are great. We enjoy going to all the events here. And I went to these events and did all these activities prior to running for office. And I find myself now doing it with a purpose and doing it more often and having more fun. It's a little more tiring, Tim, as we get a little older. The going out every night thing kind of wears on you a little bit. But it's just getting out and seeing the people is very enjoyable. And having a purpose when you're doing so is good. And the good thing about running for senator is I do believe I can make a difference. And those around me think the same thing. So we're going to go out and try to bring issues to light up there in Hartford. We're going to try to bring back civility to Hartford, and that's important because I think that's really key. Civility is important for me specifically because what we did with the Board of Education, I know that our friend Fred Camillo, who will be on shortly, and Steve Walco, they invited me into town government and said, hey, we got a really nice spot for you. They first told me I'm going to run with Fred. And well, that sounded fun because I've been friends with Fred for a lot of years. But then they asked me to do a switch to go to the Board of Education. I said, sure, whatever the team needs, I'm happy to do it. And in doing so, they did point out that the Board of Education is possibly the most dysfunctional boards in town. So well, I said, great, that's great. Thank you very much for putting me on that one.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
Very good. Well, I know there's a lot to talk about. I just want to, of course, announce here that we have joekellyforsenate.com, where you can read up and check out everything that you've got going. And of course, when you're saying you're out and about, the socials that you spoke of, that you're out and reaching out to everyone are going to be connected here. You got Facebook and Instagram hooked up here. So if anybody wants more information and wants to follow along in your new endeavors across the area, joekellyforsenate.com. But we do have your first guest, Tom O'Day, has entered the room. So we're going to give him a second to get ready and load up his camera, and we'll bring him on stage. But I just wanted to show off that beautiful website that you've got going there.
Thank you. I'm so looking forward to talking to Tom. He's a bit of a myth, a bit of a legend, and here he is now. Tom, there you are. Hello, Tom.
Hi, Joe. Hi, Tim. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. We're doing great. This is the first show, and I could not be more honored to have you as our first guest of our first show in this new series leading up to the election. So, Tom, thank you very much for coming on. I'm honored and very pleased you're able to do so. So the good thing about getting together and talking about statewide issues on the show is Tom, you're running as well. So you're not, and you have an opponent, which is a rarity because you've been running for years, relatively unopposed, because they love you in New Canaan.
Well, Joe, the honor is all mine. I got to be honest. I'm so excited to be on with you. And you've been a breath of fresh air here. Campaigning with you has been wonderful. We were together at the New Canaan sidewalk sales, and it's great joining you here tonight. You know, as you said, I've been a state rep for 14 years. I do love the job. You're going to hopefully soon find out it will be it's going to be the greatest honor of your career, the best job you ever had, the least paying and most frustrating, but it's great. And you know, for those that are watching who don't know me, I represent New Canaan, most of New Canaan, a little bit of Darien and North Stamford. You and I have the same district. Yours is obviously much bigger as the senator, the big shot. But I've been doing this for 14 years, and I'm the deputy Republican leader. I run the floor of the House for the Republicans, and I can't wait to work with you when you're up in the Senate. God willing, we'll both make it through in November. But happy to be here and looking forward to having a dialogue on the issues and what each of us brings to the table.
Well, Tom, I do have to say, I've been kind of watching you from afar because everyone said what a great guy Tom O'Day is. And everyone says you're going to love hanging out with him. And I've been chasing you around very quietly and subtly. I didn't want to appear to be a stalker, but I've been saying, Tom, we have to get out and enjoy each other's company. And let's get out and talk a little bit. And you're quite the popular guy. And certainly at the sidewalk sales in New Canaan, which was quite the event. Everyone knew you. They were walking by. They were coming to see you. There was a line of people waiting to talk to you. And I'm kind of new to New Canaan, and I'm happy to meet the folks in New Canaan. But watching your popularity and seeing how they love you up there it's a true reflection on the good job you do. And what are some of the key issues that we're going to be working together on? You in the House, me in the Senate, if we both prevail, which I assume or hopefully we will. What are some of the key issues we're going to be working on?
Well, Joe, just right back at you, by the way. I've been following you. We met each other many years ago, and you know, both you and I are friends with Fred Camillo, who is coming on, and what a wonderful man Fred is. Honestly, he was one of my mentors up in Hartford, and now as the first selectman in Greenwich, I know he's doing an outstanding job. But I've known you and of you for many years, and your reputation precedes you. So it's going to be a fun few months here campaigning with you. The biggest issue in New Canaan, quite frankly, are issues really is local control, both of the zoning issues, educational issues, and affordability. You know, we've got a number of fairly large affordable housing projects being proposed that just don't fit where they're being proposed. So we're trying to fix that scenario. And in our education, like Greenwich, New Canaan, Darien, Wilton, we've got the best educational system in the state. And you know, we want to maintain control over that. And the state recently mandated that we adopt their reading program, despite the fact that New Canaan finished #1 in the state as a district in reading. They wanted us to adopt their reading program, and they gave exceptions to towns like Hartford and towns that have been failing their students. So it just doesn't make any sense. So anyway, those are two of the big issues, and your education background is going to be very helpful in Hartford.
I do say though, Tom, if I may, I've been very envious of you guys being number one for a number of years, because when I got elected to the Board of Education, I think it was 2019. My goal was obviously move forward some of the capital projects that have been delayed, but also chase you guys in the number one spot, where I think we were like 4 or 5 at the time. And I say our goal, our number one thing is to be number one. And so I watched you from afar. I watched the Board of Education. I tried to understand what you guys do. I like the fact that you guys supported your schools, and there was a lot of political stuff that went on during COVID or just after COVID, which affected the public school system. And in the state of Connecticut, we have the public school system. And that's what we're going to have. So we have to be very conscious of what comes out of Hartford, because we really don't have alternatives. There are other states that are exploring alternatives, but what we have is the public school system. So we should focus on making that as good as possibly can be. And you guys at number one, us at 4 or 5, certainly we're doing something right. So I agree with you 100%. We have to keep our eyes on what comes out of Hartford and how it affects our schools.
Yeah, and your background in finance is also going to be needed, because the other big issue. So you got the local control of their zoning and educational system, affordability, and frankly the guardrails, the spending. Back in 2017 was when Fred was in there with Scott France. I served. New Canaan was represented by myself, Scott France, Tony Boucher, and Fred Wilms. And Greenwich had Freddie along with Scott France. And we passed the Republican budget that instituted the guardrails. And up until this year, we were having surpluses to pay down the debt. And we've got we've got the highest debt per capita in the country, number one, which is not a number one spot you want to be in for debt per capita.
No.
And even though we paid down 12 billion of that debt over the last 6-8 years, we've added 10 to it. So we've actually paid down 2. And we've been sweeping away on the volatility cap. We've been eating away. So we're actually not paying down. And for the first time since that Republican budget, we were not projected to have a surplus. So we need you back. We need you up there to help with the excessive spending. And your finance background will be key to that.
Well, 25 years in the fixed income business, you do understand how to bond stuff, how to create debt, how to pay for things, and you certainly can understand how to avoid getting yourselves into financial trouble. Right now, we have a very robust capital markets, and with the robust capital markets, it should kind of hide any sort of errors and create the opportunity to stay within the fiscal guardrails. To fall out of them in time of prosperity is concerning. When things are tough, you have to understand you've got to tighten your belt, and maybe they've got to spend some things to pay for some things. But we've got a robust economy now that we should be benefiting from. So it's concerning. And local zoning, I mean, you guys in New Canaan are really want, and as I mentioned earlier on about how much I really grew fond of New Canaan, to keep the character of that town, it's going to take a lot of work, and local zoning control is such a key issue for Hartford to make decisions on New Canaan, on Greenwich, and it's not so much Stanford. They kind of had met their 10% requirement for affordable housing, so they're not under as much pressure. But New Canaan certainly wants to keep a character that reflects the community. So is Greenwich, and it just doesn't seem logical for Hartford, 2 hours north, to be making decisions about our small towns. So I agree, we have to work together on solving that problem.
And then on the affordability front, we do have the benefit of Ryan Fazio, who's, obviously you're looking to take over his seat. Ryan has done an amazing job of pointing the flashlight on what's going on with our electric bills. And, Ryan is one of the most effective, energetic, intelligent legislators I've ever served with. And, man, I think he's going to help us down on below the ticket, because I think he's got a really good shot, and he's doing a great job of getting out there, getting his name out there, and showing what he's done as a state senator. And the whole electric bill that we've seen, and the electricity costs soaring because of the public benefits that have been given out and the subsidies to, for example, I mean, the electric car and electric charging subsidies that we're giving to people. Like, frankly, I've got a Tesla. I love it. We shouldn't be giving subsidies to people who don't need them. And you know, an elderly person on a fixed income shouldn't be subsidizing people who are wealthy who want to buy electric. It should be there should be a means test to it, and Ryan's done a great job of focusing on that. I know that you're particularly looking at the energy bills and affordability in your campaign as well. So looking forward to getting that debate going up in Hartford with a few more Republicans like you and I leading the charge on bringing affordability back.
Well, I found it quite interesting because in the second part of my career, we talked about the fixed income career, so the financial career, but I was in the energy business for the last 20 years. So I have worked with Dominion, who is the entity that controls and does all the acquiring of the nuclear fuels for Millstone. And they are one of the wiliest, smartest buyers of fuel. We helped them hedging some of the volatility with that commodity. And I called them recently about the finding out that 38% of the energy being created in the state of Connecticut, according in 2025, was from nuclear power. So I said, you guys, I know you're not paying a lot for nuclear fuel because I work with you on that. Do you have a generation problem where you don't efficiently create electricity? And they said, no, we got a bunch of good guys creating the right ratio of uranium-235 and 238 in their reactors, and they're quite efficient. I said, well, certainly it could. Is it the delivery? Because Connecticut shouldn't have delivery problems because we don't have challenges for our electric wires. So basically, there's really no reason to be the second most expensive electricity in the United States, unless you have a governmental issue, which is creating that problem. So I think we need to get up there and try to understand it and make some decisions to fix some of the things that are wrong up there, because the state of Connecticut should not have the second highest electricity bills in the 50 states.
You know, Ryan had a great line, Ryan Fazio, that we were in a debate I think 2 years ago, obviously, about, and he said, look, at the time we were third highest electric rates behind California and Hawaii. One's an island and the others lost their mind. So it was pretty it was pretty good. But anyway, no, so it's, you know, you were talking about getting to know New Canaan, and New Canaan's enjoyed getting to know you, Joe. I got to be honest. We were together at the New Canaan Museum and Historical Society gala fundraiser, and you and your wife were fantastic, you know, going around meeting people, and really enjoyed it.
And Tom, on that note, may I bring Maria Weingarten into our conversation?
Yes.
There's Maria. Hello, Maria. Welcome.
Hello.
How are you?
How's everybody doing?
Things are good. We're just talking about the newfound fondness I have for New Canaan. And of course, Tom, judging by the sidewalk sales, is possibly the most popular man in New Canaan, watching everyone line up to speak to him. And he was just holding court there. I love watching that. But Maria, thank you for joining us. We're talking about issues that are important issues. Now, we did touch on housing. I know you're on the finance board, which is very impressive. You and I both share that responsibility, you in New Canaan, me in Greenwich. So there's a lot of responsibility there. But I love your personal crusade against 830G and other local control issues, where we need to, certainly your town and Greenwich as well, where our characters are under assault as well. We need to certainly do stuff to change that. So Tom and I briefly touched on that, but no one knows more about this stuff than you, Maria.
Yeah, Maria, before we let you talk, I just want to say I've known Maria for 30 years, 28 years. Maria knows more about 830G, and I've lived it for 15 years. She has been an expert on it, and if it wasn't for Maria, we'd be in a lot more trouble than we are now. Maria's just worked so hard for 169 Strong, and I am so thankful not only to call her a friend, but to call her a colleague. obviously on the Board of Finance in New Canaan. I'm as the state rep, but a friend, colleague, and supporter in reforming 830G. Maria, thank you so much for all you do and have done and will do.
And thank you, Tom, for everything that you do up there. And it's so.
Maria, I think you're muted.
Uh-oh.
No, I hear it, Tom. Maybe it's at your end.
Oh, it must be on my end. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh.
That's okay. Well,
so
Tom is kind enough to join. He can't hear you, Maria. So what I'll do is I will bid Tom fond adieu and thank him for joining us on the program on our first of a series of these programs. So Tom, thank you very much for joining you. We'll see. He lost the audio, so a reason to bring Maria in the highlight. So great. So Maria, tell us more about your involvement, because I know I learned tons about 830G and about local zoning control versus Hartford's meddling with our zoning through you and presentations you've done that I was able to sit in and listen to.
Well, thank you so much. We started this about 5 years ago. There were a number of us, some legislators, some local residents who started hearing about these nonprofit developer-backed organizations like Desegregate Connecticut, which is now a program of Regional Plan Association, which it's just about development, and it's focused on the tri-state area. So it's sort of Connecticut is the stepchild to New York and New Jersey, the way that organization works. So it's a little unfortunate because we have our own priorities that we should be focused on, and we shouldn't just be out to bid to the rest of everyone else. I started kind of following what's been happening, and it's all about taking away local control. It's about just taking away anything that is thoughtful planning that's done locally, and everyone knows that it's a sound strategy to make sure that your local process takes a look at projects to understand what they're doing. All land is unique and it's finite, and that's really the concern here, is that we are especially down in the lower Fairfield County, where you're from, Greenwich, I'm from New Canaan. These areas are they're developed already. So what becomes challenging is the rest of the state is not as developed, but because of our proximity to New York and the economic engine of New York, our area demands higher prices for homes, for land, for everything virtually. And it seems to be that we're vilified as a result, when it's just a factor of inelastic demand, that no matter what, there will always be demand for homes in this area. And unless we have the infrastructure and the smart development planning to go along with it, it's very hard to meet the demands that are being pushed upon us by the state.
Well, Maria, my question, and I'm confused about this, because I know that it's kind of a bad word right now, but I've been a developer for many years, and I follow the rules. I follow the local zoning rules. I've never circumvented the local zoning regulations. What I do is and have done this for decades, when nobody wants to buy land or homes or assets in the real estate category, I buy them. And I like to hold them. And what I do is I sell them when things become like they are now, where things are expensive. And along the way, in order to enhance the value of the property, I develop. I have one more lot left in a development in Groton up on the water, and I've done some. I've had about 250 acres in Hamden, and we ended up working with the town on selling it back to the town, based on them working together with the water company, because their schools couldn't accommodate the development which we were trying to build. A nice community up there, and we were following their rules. So the question I have, the confusing thing is, who actually supported the politicians to vote in favor of having the zoning control transferred up to Hartford? Because everybody I talk to in those multiple parts of the state, the individuals, they of course want to keep everybody, every human being, in my mind, every citizen of the state of Connecticut would want to keep their zoning control local. Why? Who would, in a conversation, say, "Oh, by the way, yes, I don't want my local municipality handling the zoning control. I would like a bunch of people who don't know who we are up in Hartford making those decisions." How did this pass?
Well, it is. It's a bunch of developer advocates who have the ear of the supermajority. As you well know, I'm sure it's a 2/3 supermajority up there.
Yes.
So, and it seems that what used to be a certain number of moderate Democrats, they seem to be primaried and gone. So it's the numbers of the moderates are dwindling. So what's really lacking up there is a check and balance. So you have some of the larger cities who have maybe 10 or 11 legislators from Hartford or New Haven or Bridgeport, and they simply control the policy making, all of it. And they're constantly being barraged by a handful of developer advocates who are paid millions of dollars annually to advocate against all of our local control and our local municipal leaders. And so they always have a seat at the table, and it's our local leaders who never get a seat at the table.
Well, Maria,
And that's the frustration.
well, I'll run into this is a lot of people are conspiracy theorists. I'm not one, right? But this, even me trying to think that this can't be the case in hearing your presentations over the years and looking into it a little bit, it seems like this is the case. And I can't believe that developers, due to just pure greed, are taking our towns and changing them. Now, I agree with workforce housing. I agree with somehow bringing in certainly affordability, but you want it as a cooperation between the local authorities and Hartford with a major state plan. Okay, I agree with a plan, but cooperation between the town who understands their sewer systems, understands. And I just read an article that Fred Camilla wrote about the inability for Eversource to supply the electricity necessary to accommodate these increase in density that these overseeing of local control or circumventing local control are causing. So I don't know how this is sustainable in structure. So certainly I'm going to do my best to try to understand this. That's kind of what I do. I bought and sold a bunch of companies. I talked about real estate development. I've done that. But what I do is I listen. I try to understand what the companies are, what the businesses are. And in my short time in local government, I was able to get involved and try to understand how local government works, bring everyone together and solve problems. So I do say that's what I'm hoping to do if I have the honor of being elected to the state senator for the 36th district.
And it would be great to have you up there because that's what we need. We need thinkers who are seeing the big picture, who can think about the unintended consequences of these, the need for infrastructure, whether it's transit and dealing with the fact that I-95 between Greenwich and Fairfield is the most congested highway in the entire country.
I've wasted too much of my life waiting on that road.
Exactly.
So,
You and
Maria,
everyone else.
we're going to bring in Joe Pellegrino, who is also on the finance board in Greenwich. He's going to join us in conversation. So Joe is I've worked with him now for some time, and he's become a friend. Now, Maria is Joe. I don't know if you know Maria, but Maria is on the finance board in New Canaan. And so she has the New Canaan issues. We have our Greenwich issues. And but the good thing is we're all looking at things with a fiscal responsibility that the supermajority in Hartford doesn't necessarily have the ability to do. And I know that Maria and Joe, I'll be calling on you guys to give me some local information that could help me make some fiscally responsible decisions in Hartford if I'm lucky enough to get elected. But Joe, welcome. Well, Joe, we don't hear you. It actually sounds very funny because you have like a Mickey Mouse voice coming out right now. So that does sound funny. But Tim, I think maybe what we'll do is we'll say goodbye to Maria, and thank you, Maria, for coming on our inaugural show. And thanks for talking to us. And I know, and maybe Joe, talk now, see if we can hear you now. Well, it actually sounds very funny.
I don't. Yeah, he's on super speed and
super speed.
I don't know why.
Maybe let's bring on Cole. Let's disconnect Joe. Joe, we're going to disconnect you and try to reconnect, and we'll bring Cole on, see how Cole sounds. Hey, Cole, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? It's good to be here.
Oh, doing great. This is Cole Breen. Cole Breen is my cousin's grandson, and he looks to have a political future. So he's now just out of school, and he's looking for an opportunity to get a job in the political field. And he was kind enough to donate his time to our campaign. So he's helping us knock on doors. He's helping us talk about statewide issues, and he's just a great asset to our campaign. So, Cole, do you have any questions about any issues that interest you? Because you are a student of politics. I'm a businessman that's trying to get into the world of politics, but you are a student. So talk to me. Ask me a question that you might want me to answer.
Of course, and may I say, you are a quick study, Joe. Every conversation we've ever had, you know the issues, and I'm not just saying that for airtime. But one of the questions I had for you is, I've known you for a little bit now. You've been in the energy business for God knows how long. But my question to you is on the potential for nuclear in the state of Connecticut. We have an energy crisis here. We have an affordability crisis directly tied to that. And I wonder what you might think in terms of potential for an expansion there, potential for getting that technology deployed.
Well, I love it. And full disclosure, so we don't think we're tricking anybody. You and I did talk prior to this about you asking nuclear questions. So, of course, that's great. And I'm certainly very interested in we got a guest. Fred, pull up a chair. We got Fred Camilla, the first selectman, just joined us.
Lovely.
Oh, excellent. Great.
Hey, Joe.
I thought you were zooming in. I didn't know you were jumping in on this. So here's Fred. Fred's joining us.
Cole, tell Joe Pellegrino he never sounded better.
Did you hear that voice? I couldn't believe that. But Cole was talking about, I think we've got to get a little closer there, Fred. There we are. So Cole was talking about nuclear. Fred, what do you think about nuclear? Are you a supporter of nuclear? What do you think about us maybe adding more capacity in maybe the state of Connecticut, or at least generating more electricity in the state of Connecticut using nuclear?
It's a great question. I think we can always be for alternative energy sources, whether it's geothermal or solar. I think we absolutely have to do that, but we're not there yet. So we have to do what we can do, whether it's nuclear or natural gas, which is the cleanest fossil fuel. We cannot cut those sources off right now. So totally for that. I think we continue to, you have parallel tracks, and I think just working really hard to be more efficient, more green, but also smarter, and helping us get to that bridge to where we need to be. But with the unfortunately, the legislature in the recent past has just wanted to just go immediately to things that we're not ready for, which causes hikes and prices. And
well, let me segue into your article, which I just read. That's all over the internet right now. We'll go talk about nuclear another time.
Sure,
This is my favorite topic, considering it is my business that I'm the CEO of right now. So we'll go back to that. But Fred wrote a great article about how the power grid is unable to supply the necessary electricity or the consistent electricity in these developments that Hartford are asking us to build. The density increase that they want to impose on our town because of the circumventing of local zoning control, that they don't have the proper infrastructure to supply what they're building.
I am a student, Joe. I mean, I just graduated college in May, and this seems like a classic issue of just not doing your research. And let me tell you that when you get a political science degree or any degree, you learn the value of doing your research. You learn the value of understanding an issue, understanding what it looks like on the ground, specifically for political science. But, this seems like a classic case of just not talking to the right people, not reviewing the right information. We've got to do better. We've got to get a better deal for the 36th because we have to do things responsibly, sustainably, and in a way that actually works. Who would have thought we should deliver legislation that actually works?
That's the goal. That's why we're hoping we get elected. But Fred, talk more about that article you just wrote, because I was intrigued. I read it just a little while ago. I thought it was amazing that they are actually asking us to do what they're doing, and they don't have the backup and structure for it, the infrastructure in place.
apparently now, and Cole's right, common sense, but apparently this has been in the works for a couple of years. And so about 2 months ago, two of my neighbors came out and said they're small houses, 1,500 square feet, and they built roughly like 5,000 square feet homes. after they were done, they were told that they can't afford the CNG didn't have the capacity to provide the gas. So they are stuck with a choice of paying a lot more money or maybe going to propane, which they don't want to do. And then I found out Aquarian had the same issue. So I met with both of them. They both admitted it. Apparently, Eversource has the same issue. I haven't met with them yet. So Aquarian and CNG has agreed to do a forum at Greenwich Town Hall. Joe will be invited early September to explain to people what has been out there for a long time. And I asked them if they've reached out to, they've heard from other towns, and they said no. So there's 169 municipalities. Joe is running for the 36th State Senate District, which has 3 towns, 3 of the 169 towns. And I said to them, if no other mayor or first selectman has reached out to you, or a state senator or a state rep, then they're really by the book. Because if we're the first and we're behind, they're really behind. And it's going to be, and we were told that it's an issue all over the place. It's a capacity issue. So, whether it's the Tennessee pipeline coming into Greenwich, which only 2 depots where they can redistribute the energy and the sources, it's an issue. And so I'm just surprised it's taken so long for them to come out and talk about it. So the reason why I wrote the article, Joe, was to let people know, and they both, Georgia Logan at Aquarian and CNG agreed, get it out there now. I pledged that Greenwich would help them get the word out. I met with our department heads and said that we have to, when someone wants to put an application in to redo the house, whether it's a tear down or a renovation, they got to check with the utilities first. So my whole thing is to ask the Governor of Vermont and the legislature, put the brakes on the mandates. So, for example, we are working with Greenwich Communities, our local housing authority, which is doing a great job of getting our affordable housing numbers up towards the 10%, but we're not there yet, but we're doing it. We've made great strides in the last six and a half years. But all the projects we have on tap right on in the queue, we won't be able to do because of this. So it affects everything, even affordable housing. So they need to put the brakes on it immediately. And that's my point of doing this right now, is to get it. And I couldn't ask for a better advocate than Joe in the state Senate, or Tina Corpus, or Mike Mason in the House, who's running in my old district, 151st. We just need common sense and to work together to figure out how long it's going to take to get that capacity. And for those who say, well, they're just trying to get more money. Well, of course, if they expand the infrastructure, it's going to cost more money. We need to know how much, what's our share of it, how long it's going to take. But if you have a project in mind, you need to know that ahead of time before you start the project. That's the reason why I did it. That's the reason why Joe Kelly's out there in front of this issue. Mm-hmm. And we're going to keep working at it. I hope that the governor responds. I hope he's a great guy. I hope he will. I know Senator Fazio is all over it. I know Representative Corpus is all over this. So we're hoping that we can get some traction with it.
Perfect. Now, Fred sort of surprised me by coming to the studio here, we'll call it. So I didn't properly introduce him for those who might not know him. Now, we had talked about the state issues. Fred was a state representative for 11 years. He spent time up there and he did great things, made such great relationships. And then he had a calling from his hometown where he spent his entire life, and they wanted him to lead his hometown. So he left his state representative position and took the first selectman position about 7 years ago now. Is it, Fred?
Yeah.
About 7 years ago. And I had the honor of running with him for a little while. And we had a great time getting out there, but we thought it was best and it was a very good move. I'm very happy we made that move because I really enjoyed working on the Board of Education. And I think I made a difference and helped a lot. And Lauren Rabin then went out, worked with you, and she's been your partner in leadership in the town of Greenwich for now 7 years.
I know Joe's not a shy guy, but he's not giving himself enough credit here. But Joe took on a couple things that had been lingering for years. One of which is the big one to me was getting the Greenwich High School stadium where we had the football and the soccer games and rugby to get redone. And that's been going on for 40 years. And it always would get to a point and then would stop. And Joe got it there and took it off. Look, yeah, so Joe got it over the finish line, and it's a beautiful stadium. We're working hard. New Canaan, which is another town that Joe will represent, he has a beautiful stadium. So we're working towards overtaking New Canaan. I know I love Deanna, I love Tom O'Day, my buddy who I saw. But we want to do better than them. So Joe got us off to a place where we're not there yet, but we're going to catch them. And we love New Canaan, we love Darien, we love Stanford, and we obviously love Greenwich. But Joe got us to a point where now it's a very nice venue, and it was not for a while. It worked, but it was not. It was under. There they are.
There's the pictures. Well, thanks, Fred. Now, what I really am proud of is not just that one as the first project I've done, but helping along the rest of the capital projects that you've been an advocate for years. And for some reason, we were unable to take on these capital projects in a timely manner. But now we're working together on the finance board, and Fred, as first selectman, when he puts the budget together, we decide what's necessary and what we really need to have, and we figure out how to get it done.
And with Joe's, again, he's not even bringing it up that Greenwich has been debating a new hockey rink for 51 years, and it was 1972, we had Dorothy Hamill, the rink. It became a Dorothy Hamill rink in 76. But in 75, we started debating what to do with it: renovate, go to another venue, or rebuild. And every time we'd get to a certain point and it'd fail. So I put together a great task force, and Matt Deschamps did a terrific job chairing that.
One of my partners on the BET and the finance board.
Yeah, and Democrat.
Love working with him.
Democrat,
nice. Yep.
Joe's Republican. They worked. That's what people want. People working together, and that's a perfect example of Democrats, Republicans working together. And guess what? They got it approved. And so now we're in the next stage of it. So it's gonna get done finally, and we're gonna have a beautiful state-of-the-art hockey rink and a beautiful showcase 90-foot baseball diamond. Sal Straza, my old buddy, named after Sal, and then also really improving the memorial grove for the young boys who lost their lives for our country, who are from Greenwich. And so it's 3 in 1. And again, couldn't have done it without this BET, totally bipartisan. Joe was a big part of that. So
I helped.
In the past, here it is. In the past, there is a beautiful rendition. It just wasn't getting done. People kept, slowing it down and costing them more money by pushing it down, but it's going to get done.
Well, working together, if you utilize put the team together, and instead of fighting about issues that are really not that important to fight about, and you sort of find compromise and agree on things, and you use the strength and intelligence of the entire committee to get the projects going, it just makes them get done because you can figure out how to get them accomplished. Greenwich is a premium town. They deserve premium assets. And it's not like we're building roller coasters and Ferris wheels. We're building schools. We're building ice skating rinks that every premium town has. We're building a baseball field. Exactly. We're just doing what will help the real estate valuations within the community. We just had an increase in the property values within the town of Greenwich by approximately 25% over the last couple of years, and that's a reflection of the services that the town provides. That Fred's in charge of the police, in charge of the fire department, in charge of all the services, and it's just tremendous services. So that premium is appreciated and reflected in the home values that people own, and they feel that. Since they have that value increase, that it's certainly worth these assets. So working together is the key. Hopefully, if lucky enough to get elected to the 36th district, I hope I can reach out. I hope it's not more challenging than the Board of Education. I hope it's not different than the BET. I hope it's not different than my corporate career of being the CEO for a while, creating businesses. So I hope it's not, but I think I can make a difference. And I think it won't be any different than anything I've accomplished before. So I'm looking forward to actually getting up there and making a difference.
I think that's the attitude, and Cole, I think you'll agree. To get things done, you have to have passion, you have to have beliefs, but also the willingness to work across the aisle. I know in my 11 years in Hartford, I always try to do that. And you got to do it with a genuineness of liking people and liking the process. That's why I call Joe the happy warrior. He's a fighter, a former Golden Gloves boxer, a rugby guy, but also he loves people. So he is the happy warrior. So he will fight, but he's not a dirty player. He is a clean player, but he will fight to the end for you and for the taxpayers of the 36th Congressional District. I'm sorry, State Senate District. I'm giving you a little bit of a bump up there. State Senate District. But it really means a lot to people to see that the person who they're voting for or considering voting for can work across the aisle. And being the happy warrior, that's my nickname for him, is critical to get things done, because if they don't like it, they're not going to work with you.
We're going to bring Joe Pellegrino back in and see if he still sounds like Mickey Mouse. Joe,
how does this sound?
Oh, much better.
I like the other one, Joe. I'm the only guy that liked how that sounded, Joe.
It was good. Joe, it's such a pleasure working with you on the BET. We get so much accomplished. We were just talking about how cooperation, reaching across the aisle, working with the people, even if they differ in our opinion, there's compromise and middle ground to be had. And we can make decisions that are a product of the entire group. And Joe, you're very instrumental in that. And I do thank you. And I do appreciate working with you.
Yeah, well, Joe, having you on the board as a colleague really inspires me, and you should know that. And Fred knows that. The public should know that. You have one of the most important assignments on the board. You're on the budget committee. The budget committee essentially determines what the town's budget is, what the capital budget is, and how we're going to finance it. And what I've seen from you from day one, the energy level, the business knowledge, the ability to ask questions and to probe. But most importantly, Joe, what I want to share with the public is your way of doing it ingratiates people to want to talk to and work with you and does not turn people off. And in today's world, and I know Fred would say this, you've got to be able to want to be with people and embrace them and find solutions. And you've been doing that from day one on the budget committee, which is most important finance committee of the BET. So you've been a huge addition to the board.
Well, what I like to do is work with people. And Joe, we didn't know each other very well when we started about a year ago on this board, but I've grown quite fond of you, and we enjoy the interaction we have when catching up 3-4 times a week on all the issues related to our $500 million budget. So,
well, I think a big part of that, Joe, is I think we share common values.
Mm-hmm.
We want to serve the people. We as Republicans want to make sure, are we doing the right things? Is government doing the right things to begin with? And if it is it going to do it the most efficient way? And if you start with that basis, then you find, how do you think through problems? You and I tend to think exactly the same way. How do you find a solution that's going to work for the taxpayers? And that's what I know you're rolling up your sleeves every day. You're coming into the BET meetings and working that through. And I think last night's meeting was a classic. Having amendments worked out ahead of time with your colleagues so that when the time comes for the vote, we all know what we're doing because we already worked with them on getting our points into the movement that we wanted to make. So
absolutely.
I think, as I'm listening to this discussion tonight, Joe, I'm amazed at how fast you've come up to speed on all the issues that you're going to be facing in Hartford when you get up there. But you have got the right temperament and personality, and it's a joy for me because when you work on these boards, and if you know how the hours that you used to put on the Board of Ed, Fred puts in as our first selectman.
Of course.
Man,
yes.
If you're not enjoying the people you're working with, it's a long slog. So I'm just blessed that you're on the board.
Well, that's I feel the same about you, but thank you, Joe, for saying those kind words. And I do say, though, for our inaugural program, this was great. I hope we can do this every Tuesday night going forward into the election, so we could talk about issues. We could get together with some folks who actually make a difference in our community. We have people like Cole who are new to things, and we like having him on board. The young perspective is fantastic. We got the old dudes.
Providing that.
Now we'll leave Joe. Cole and Joe will be the young perspective, I suppose. You and I are the same age, Fred. So, but no,
You're
that's
getting a break, Joe.
exactly. But it's great, and thank you. And hopefully that with this, with what we talk about on this program, we maybe get this out to the community, and they can understand that if they decide that I'm the kind of person they want to represent them in the 36th district, that it's honest, it's collegial, it's utilizing all the people within the group to make decisions, and we'll accomplish great things, and we'll bring the state back to a healthy position rather than struggling. And people want us to continue to live here, and that's one of the main reasons. I want to stay here. I want to go anywhere.
You know, Joe, if I could say one thing, is if people could get to know you the way I've gotten to know you over the past year, unequivocally, there's not even a question they would vote for you.
Oh, thank you, Joe. That's awful nice of you. Thank you.
And thank you for all you do, Joe.
Oh, yes. Joe's great. And Joe,
You got me involved 20 years ago over a cup of coffee.
And you still talk to me.
That's right.
We all make mistakes, Fred.
Well, we usually conclude the show or the program with Tim Judge coming in with some words of wisdom after he's watched the program. Tim's broken his camera. I don't know what he's done to his camera, but it certainly doesn't work. But Tim, now this is our first program. He's the one who produces and coordinates the program and makes it all happen. Now, Tim, what do you think about our first program? What are your concluding remarks?
Well done. I will have to say that I have just graduated my 5th child through the Greenwich public school system, and the family amassed 5 state championships over that period of time. I am extremely proud to be from Greenwich, and Joe, I connected with you a while back. Of course, we went to the same alma mater, not at the same time, but it was great connecting with you. And then I'm just extremely proud of the town. I was the first person in the Greenwich pool when they rebuilt that. I have spent a lot of time on the ice at Dorothy Hamill in its current version, and I'm looking forward to the new one. So I think with leadership like Fred, like you, Joe, and everyone else who puts their best foot forward, I think we're in great shape. And I'm happy to hear that you guys want to work together on all these daunting issues. And then, it's great that we have nice things, which is beautiful. And I just want to see you work hard for getting the energy under control. So, and I think you're with your energy background, Joe, it's right up your alley. So
perfect.
I thought it was great.
Thank
and
you, Tim.
Yes, ready to do more.
Do we have anybody tuning in to watch, by the way? Is there anyone out there? Did you see the little ticker to see who's watching?
Oh yeah, the number's been going up and down, and people tuning in. So it was good first show, and I don't know if anybody. I don't want to say if anybody around town lost power with all the weather we're having around here today, but you start here, and we'll grow it from here on out.
Well, we had that pocket of viewers from Indonesia that used to watch. We had 500 people from Indonesia used to watch us in the last program. We don't know why they tuned in, but go ahead, Fred.
But Tim, I think I heard the rumor was it spiked when Joe's voice changed a little bit and it went through the roof.
The Mickey Mouse voice had everyone going. That was great, Joe. How did you do that? All right. Thanks, everybody. Tune in again, 8:00 next Tuesday for our next program. We'll have a fun selection of guests. Thanks,
okay, see you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.